Okay, welcome, listeners and viewers. Here we are at another episode of Compliance in Motion, the podcast where we dive deep into stories, strategies, and systems that power a real workforce focused on safety and compliance for today, for sure. I'm Tony DeAscentis, CEO and co-founder of Ving, and today we are really excited to bring on board with us for a conversation Omar Chahin. He is the owner and leader of his team at GMD Surfaces. Omar, welcome to Compliance in Motion.
Hello, Tony. Thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate it. This is really fantastic.
Folks out there listening and viewing today, I've known Omar for a handful of years now through the stone industry and crossing paths at different events like TICE and coverings, and certainly national conferences like the one sponsored by ISFA, the International Surfaces Fabricators Association. And what I can tell from Omar, he is definitely a respected leader in the stone industry. This guy has things to say and experiences under his belt from years of leading his team and being an innovator in what they do at GMD. So let's start there, Omar. Tell us a little bit about your background, your story. How did you end up at GMD?
Thank you, Tony. That's very humbling. I appreciate your kind words. Actually, my background is in architecture and engineering. That's my bachelor. I worked as a contractor and an architect for a number of years. And in 2007, I was building homes and I was doing some commercial contracting. I decided that things were not going so well. Kind of I saw the economy wasn't doing very good, so I
You can
figured
kind of see the writing on the wall, kind of a thing where you were going to head with it. Yeah.
exactly. And then on the advice of a friend of mine, he said, you should look into this industry. It's really nice industry. It's good margins. So I started look into it. The next thing you know, I figured I can do countertop fabrication for a number of years until things kind of rebounded. And next thing you know, I jumped into it. I really loved it. I think
Yeah.
it's a newer industry. It's a young industry. There's a big potential for growth. And I think my brain, my architectural brain, knowing CAD, I love machines. I kind of started quickly adjusting and seeing that, laser measuring, CNC machines were the way of the future. And I was a very early adopter for both technologies.
Hmm.
I started measuring with a laser. I hired this guy that kept showing up with he goes to measure, he comes back with these cardboards. And you make sure that you have the tape and you drew where your circles are. And I just thought it was a weird thing that you would go to a job site and you
Make a pattern like that.
yeah.
Out of
So,
cardboard. Yeah.
exactly. And then next thing you know, I met the folks at Laser Products and I bought it almost immediately. And then the economy was not good for many in the '08s. So I found this person that was selling his CNC and I bought it in a heartbeat. And the minute I started doing digital templating and CNC, it's like these builders that wanna have that technology started coming to me. I never went after builders. Next thing you know, I have builders that are still working with us, luckily, since 2008 and 2009. It's a
Well,
handful.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what was it that about those two technologies that really made the builders like gravitate towards GMD? Was it the knowing that it was going to be uber accurate and high quality, or what was the top of their list that they said, let's go to this guy. He's looking to the future using these right technologies.
I think that's the accuracy. I heard from one of the builders where, he got in trouble on a job that had a radius. And when it was manufactured, you take your Sharpie and you draw your circle, and you draw it and you grind it by hand. Well, it's he got into a trouble on a job where the client called him up and saying, if you stand right here and you look, it's not a smooth arch, it's not a
Hmm.
so so it's those type of issues that I think builders wanted to address and to make sure that they have that technology where their fabricator can provide top-notch service, top quality. And because of I did home building for a while, I kind of knew what I wanted to see in
Hmm.
as fabricator, what the challenges I was doing, I was facing. So for me, it was a process. I wanted the builders to have a process and to have transparency, actually showing up on time, showing up the day we wanted to show up.
Hmm.
So it wasn't just the technology. I think the minute they walked in, we gave them an experience.
Yep.
Uh, that
Oh,
that
that is so
yeah,
true right there. I mean, so oftentimes people get focused on a component of the solution or a tool in the toolkit as the competitive differentiator. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's not just the one thing. It's not just the two tool, well, not the one thing, but in this case, we were kind of referencing two different types of tools. But it's that experience that they have. I mean, yeah, the tools are great, but people have to show up on time. They have to do the right work, and you got to live up to the commitments that you've made to your customers. Now, are you guys working predominantly in a residential or commercial environment?
we do both, but predominantly we are residential. So we do a lot of residential, but for builders. So
Mhm.
builder work is 80% or builder
Yep,
commercial. Then we do about 20% retail.
gotcha.
And predominantly quartz, then quartzites, and then we do quite a bit of porcelain and dectin, all those kind of center stones. Yeah.
Yep, and I'm sure that you are in the middle of it, just like every other stone fabricator or surface shop fabrication shop that I talk to, is with everything that's going on with silicosis prevention and all of the safety regulations that are getting every stone is getting overturned, right? People are looking at everything. And unfortunately, there's some shops out there that have given the industry a bad name and they're not following the best possible practices to keep people safe and out of harm's way when it comes to silicosis and educating their employees on silicosis prevention or having the right shops as a top of mind factor and challenges towards people on the shop floor. What are you hearing these days in this area, and how are you involved in spearheading or influencing, what happens in the shop?
Honestly, I I I, I can't imagine how you can't pay attention to this type of issue. In 2008, 2009, I mean, we were all hand fabricating things, and sink outs were done by hand. And I remember when I went to buy my CNC, my first CNC, I almost had a mutiny. It's like they were afraid for their job. They came in here, and I remember my supervisor, my manager came here. So why do you need it? We're doing it all. We're happy. I said, don't worry, it's gonna work out, and nobody's gonna be fired.
Yeah.
It's going to be nicer, cleaner, less dust, no dust. That was 2008, and then I remember getting the CNC. We started working it, and it went down for a day or two, and nobody wanted to do the synchronous by hand anymore. It's like, man, no, 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 we'll wait for that. You know,
Yeah.
so
We
it's
need to keep going.
it's a paradigm shift, right? So
Yeah.
now when previous to 2008, when I got the CNC, you sit down and I mean, we all had dust back then. You can't
Yeah.
fabricate without having that dust, and you can see that it's not a good dust, and it's all over the place. I mean, it's just not. So I've been very cognizant of the fact that silica, nobody knew that it was this bad, but
Right. Yeah.
now but you can see it. Now I can't imagine how you can work without providing those safety nets for your employees.
Mhm.
without providing the training. We've been wet since 2008. I hear about these shops that were, they got hit with fines and things like this. And I'm just thinking, what's taking that long?
Yeah.
Safety is the most important thing that shop owners can do now for their business is to make it safety proof.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
with OSHA or your own employees as human beings. You really got to do the right thing.
I will tell you, that's one of the things that I love hearing people say. Well, you just said there, it's with your employees, you have to do the right thing. I have interviewed quite a number of guests on Compliance in Motion podcast, and the real leaders that you can just tell that they're like ahead of the curve, like you. They're not waiting for regulation to tell them to do these things. They're not waiting for somebody to get hurt or to have an issue of some sort. They're proactively addressing these major issues in their industry that as a responsible employer, they feel an obligation to help protect their employees. And just like you would attest is that you obviously need your team out there. CNC machines do a lot of great work, but you actually have to have a skilled labor employee dedicated who cares about the quality of what's coming out the other end. So silicosis is obviously not the primary or not the only safety challenge that we have in your particular industry. What would you say in addition to that are like the top three that you are constantly looking for, um, or maybe not constantly. You over the years you've noticed the process that needed changed to make the worker safer in the production line stay on track and these kinds of things. Any particular safety or challenging trend that you've kind of recognized and went after with the solution?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously in I'm in Chicago, and in Chicago we've had several fatalities in the past few years, and they were loading and unloading slabs, whether from a container or from a flatbed, trying to get the slab safely off the bed, off the truck into the shop. We're very careful about slab shadow and how we handle slabs. The other thing is that we find ourselves kind of, that's kind of a danger, not dangerous, but people get hurt with it is lower back injuries. So having the right number of people handling the job is also critical.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the previous days, you hired somebody, you turned them loose. I actually did sign up for the OSHA consultation, and we put together programs. We signed up with services like Ving. We actually do have the binder. When we 5, 6 years ago, you got somebody who's good, you gave them an apron and a polisher, and go out and do it. Do your thing.
Right.
Now it's
Right.
like we spend a day, almost a day, day and a half, onboarding them with employee books and safety and PPEs and things like this, and make sure they're all working and ADP. I mean, all the stuff. It has to start from day one, where the employee feels that safety is a concern and it's a top priority.
Yeah.
When you give them the apron and send them out there, they don't get that impression anymore.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Right.
we start from day one.
It's
Absolutely.
really it's really about, your safety culture is there obviously year after year. When you bring a new hire in, they need to be indoctrinated into that process starting day one. And what we hear from so many people, and if you check the stats and the workers' comp plan claims and things like that, 90% of major issues or injury issues come in the first 90 days of a new hire's tenure at a new employer. And it's because they're still learning the ropes and they're still getting to understand exactly how to use different machinery and follow the leadership of their mentors and their, and folks like that. So that new hire, that first step is really important. And you're also setting the table for them to say, hey, look, this is the way we do it here at GMD. We want you to start off on the right foot day one. And so it's part of your culture and your openness to share these things with people. So you got a new person coming in, but you also have a lot of people that have been around for a while. How hard is it to get somebody to change their mindset of, well, we've always done it this way,
Yeah.
and you know you need to change it to a new way, maybe because you got a new procedure to make it safer, or a new piece of equipment, or maybe the work environment has changed. So, how do you walk somebody through that just responds to you that says, yeah, but we've always done it this way. If I have to do it that way, I know it's a safer way, but it's going to cause a delay or whatever. Those are challenges that people throw up at the safety process, right? How
Yeah.
would you go about walking them through that?
So it really is. You can't change a culture of no enforcement to enforcement overnight. It's not a switch you flip on and off. For me, it started with me deciding and getting the ones closest to me to buy into the idea is that we need to have a safety program, a safety protocol training to actually spend the time to take things off the schedule and schedule a 2-hour training. Our insurance company suggested that. They offer resources. And then we kind of really, the whole thing started by saying, all right, so we're going to start. We started training people. And then in the state of Illinois, you have sexual harassment training. That was part of the culture. And
Mhm.
then you slowly start bringing all these extra trainings. And then even we signed up for instance, with Ving, and the staff at Ving was incredible, where we gave them all the
Oh, thank you.
information.
Yeah.
We gave them all the information of all the employees' email, cell phone, and we said, you need to do this silica training. You need to do this training and that training. And we would give them a month. And guess what? Nobody listens. And then you have a meeting and you tell them you got to do this training,
Mhm.
and then they still don't do it.
Mhm.
You have to continuously remind them about the fact that this is not for me. I'm not trying to protect myself. I'm trying to protect you and myself at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, I think we've said it many times. We want you to be safe so you can go back home to your family, and don't take the silica dust with you, so that when you go there and you take your sweater off and you're getting your silica all over your
Yeah.
house.
Right.
No, so it really is. It has to start with commitment from the ownership all the way down to the managers, and then to make them feel good about the fact that they need to do this. But I think they knew it was very serious when we actually signed up for the OSHA consultation,
Mhm.
and the OSHA consultant showed up with all these silica pumps and air pumps, and the sound and all these things. And we brought them in, and they
Mhm.
started. And so I raised the exact same issue. He had a meeting with them when he was bringing them in. He said, "You guys should be appreciative that you have an owner and a manager that really is pushing safety, and that you should be thankful. You should implement this and feel about it." So I think you have to talk the talk and walk the walk is the best way to make sure that they understand that this is serious business, that you mean it. We
Yes.
actually, at the end, we started saying things like, you're not going to do the training, you're not going to have a job. um I mean,
Yeah.
it came to
It's
that with some.
Yep. Where the
Yeah.
buck stops, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, our organization is similar. You have the best interest of your employees and your team in mind. Unfortunately, we have workers that have come to us, and I think you've certainly had this situation before. They're coming from a different type of organization. So they're coming from an organization maybe where leadership always kind of told people to do stuff, but it was more to cover the business from risk than the employee from risk. And so, especially more of our senior workers who have been working for a long time, they're very experienced in working places where, yeah, we got to go to this training, check that box so the company's covered. Well, when they come to work at a place like GMD, and you're doing these programs to help protect them first, and then of course your business. because the business needs protected so that people have a job continuously going on. We have to make profit, we have to work safely, and we have to do all kinds of things, right? But at
Yep.
the crux of it, we need to empower our employees and have them internalize what their role is in that, and that is to keep themselves safe on the job for themselves. And this is something that people I think don't even think about. I'm at work, perhaps exposed to silica dust, and that, but you said it. You go home and you take off your sweater, your boots, your everything. You're literally transferring. So you have to really understand the reach that some of this hazard has, right?
Yep, exactly. I mean,
What?
it really is. It starts from the top down. It really does. And you have to continuously remind them, meet with them. Even sometimes you go to your installers and he's out there with an air hose and he's hosing
Yeah.
himself up before you can't do that. You
No.
can't do. We
Yeah.
talked about this, so I
Yeah.
think you have to that continuous reinforcement and meeting after meeting. We have toolbox talk on Thursdays every 2 weeks. We have a talk, and we can reinforce just not too long ago, we had a sheet called Code of Ethics.
Mm.
We started telling them, okay, you don't care about yourself. I want you to care about him because he cares about himself, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
like
Right.
secondhand smoking. I don't care. I can smoke, but yeah, but the secondhand smoking is just as bad. So you can't smoke here. You can do. So
Yeah.
same principle. We put together rules that you can do this, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Mhm.
I said, you need to sign that you received this memo,
Yeah.
reinforce and
Hmm.
hopefully I can see a difference. I really do.
Yeah.
Now
Great.
I
Great.
think 99% of our employees bought into it. You can see them saying the right things, doing the right.
Great.
Only
Yeah.
the new employees that could be the offenders, but definitely makes a difference.
I think one of the takeaways for me from hearing what you're talking about right now is that you know, don't give up. As the employer and the leader, it takes time to change the course of the ship or to get buy-in from those employees, especially if they've been around for a long time. Maybe easier for new hires because hey, they just took the job and they're gonna listen to what you have to say, right? And put them through the training. Um, but for all of our listeners out there, as you're thinking about your crew and you're thinking like, yeah, I tried it a million times and I can't get people on board with it, stay the course. Your goal is to get them on board with it. You might have to change your tactic a little bit along the way, all the way to the point that says, look, you have to take this training to be employed here. And hopefully you can get people on board before, it has to be any kind of an ultimatum or things like that. But when you're talking about, if you don't care enough about yourself, please care about the people around you and go through the training so you can keep your friends and others in your family when you get home on the safer side of things. Now, I'm
Yeah.
interested to know when you had the OSHA consultant come in, what kind of equipment did they bring with them? What testing did they do?
So they had this large tripod, and they had this they call it general dust monitor, and they set it up in a place where they think that there's a lot of dust. This one does not give you silica; it doesn't break down general dust from silica. It just gives you all the dust that it's collecting. It has a
Mhm.
little humming sound to it. I'm not sure how it works, but that we that was very low. The general dust and the silica was very low. And then they came in with a. He asked me if I wanted to do it. I did do it. The decibels, they measure the decibels. So there's like a microphone,
Yeah.
and they put it on their body to see the type of noise that it's catching. And
Mhm.
then there was the pump that they put on the back, and they put this cyclone thing. It kind of works, and it draws the air close to their chest and close to their.
Okay.
They bring it right here, and then that gets tested sent to a lab. And in the lab, it tells them how many micrograms of silica was in the air sampling.
Mhm.
They usually typically run a 6 hours, and then they prorate it for the full day, or they do half a day, and they do it, they prorated. They also go through the entire shop and they flag all these things. Now remember, consultation, they do not fine you, and they're not even connected to enforcement. So they show
Yeah.
up, they write down everything that they see wrong. So based on that, we had a little mezzanine over one of the offices where there is a furnace.
Hmm.
And they were concerned about a fault. They wanted fault protection. So there was this self-closing gate. They go through your panels and see if there's any missing plates that you need to add in case you don't have a certain, the breakers. They go through all of your extension cords, and they flag it for you. They tell you to add switches. You need the 3 foot clearance in front of panels, things like that.
Hmm.
They go through flammable things, make sure they're in cabinets. I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Comprehensive. Yeah.
it was a,
Very comprehensive.
and it's free. And
So talk to our listeners about that. How did you find the resource? And I'm sure everybody caught right off the top that it was no charge, it was free. But how did you find the right person to come in from OSHA?
So I go to a lot of events, and I did hear about it from a fellow fabricator, just like everybody knows, hearing it from me as a fellow fabricator. And then you contact the here in Illinois, it's the labor department. You call, and they have that consultation part of the labor department. So I hooked up with them. I Googled it, I think.
Yeah.
Then there is a guy that works my area. I got an email from him, and we set up a time. He showed up, I think 7:30 in the morning, set up 8 o'clock. We started bringing the guys in one at a time. We did not test every single person, but we did one machinist, one on the saw, one on the CNC. We did a couple of fabricators. We did the warehouse guy, and we did the supervisor that runs all the way around. So we tried to get kind of an average of everybody, and obviously everybody had different concerns and different levels that they faced.
Yeah, very thorough too to have that done. And I think just to make sure if you missed it, one of the things that Omar pointed out is that this was a consultation, uh, an inspection slash consultation. It was not a surprise visit where they just showed up on a random day and you were concerned that you were going to get fined. Instead, and correct me if I'm wrong, Omar, it sounds like they're leaving you with gap analysis of some sort that says, here are your target areas that you should shore up on, and you can take proactive action to do those. And in reality, just making your shop an all around better, safer place to work. So in that gap analysis, how does that work? Do they give you, is it voluntarily have them come back, or do they actually just say, hey, we'll come back in 6 months and see how you did on closing the gaps in these target areas?
So even though this is a consultation, it's not enforcement, you are obligated to do what he's saying. If you don't, we will actually escalate this to an enforcement officer or the department, and then they will send somebody to force you to do it and fine you. So it's in
Yeah.
your best interest to go through the consultation, listen to them, work with them. Usually they give you 3 months or 6 months to come back, and then they will email you a very detailed reports. I found very good value in this. I can share that I think before anyone calls consultation, because they're very so thorough, I would talk to other fabricators, go to some organizations like ISFA and all these that are out there that have a program and a checklist. Go through it yourself first. Ving has good resources, for instance. Go through all these things. Make sure you train people. You understand the cleanliness of it, and the aspect of all the details, and
Hmm.
then work through them. And then you call consultation to make sure that what you did fits. Because what you want them to come is to come, do a consultation and leave, never to hear from them again. In my
Right.
case, there were quite a few, not quite, but we had issues with extension cords. We had issues with the mezzanine thing, so we added the
Mhm.
gates.
The
So
gate.
if
Yep.
had I known some of the simple stuff, I would have done them ahead of time and then
Mhm.
concentrated on what I really wanted to work on, that is safety, as silica and all these things.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's you do, and by the way, if enforcement comes while you're working with the consultation, you can tell them I'm working with a consultant and they will leave.
Mm.
They won't come back
Yep.
unless there is a complaint or an injury, a serious injury. Then they are obligated to go in and inspect you and fine you if needed, but not if you are working with a consultation. Everything is fine.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're somebody who's listening today and you are adverse or would rather not be surprised during an OSHA visit, the best path forward is proactive and to really get in touch with some people that can help you get started with your initial step. And what I really liked what Omar pointed out was, find another fabricator shop, somebody that you've networked with or somebody that's already gone through this process and exchange some ideas and get some dialogue going around best practices or lessons learned. And I think this is a really an interesting one where it's like, don't just go jump straight to OSHA. Go to your association first or your colleagues first and get your house in order as close as you can, and then have somebody come in with a very objective third party point of view and assist you with that. So it sounds to me like Omar, you've really tapped into this community of fellow fabricators and people in the stone industry with all different types of experiences and ideas to share. Have you found that to be a very valuable thing to do, to go to all the different events and really just make a point to network and talk to people?
You know what? As a fabric, look, I started as an architect and engineer.
Right.
I started doing surface fabrication, and you hire the right people and you do it, but you're limited to whatever they know. You have to find a resource that can bring you new ideas. And the only way I found it to be useful for me is to actually go and join these organizations that are out there, established with good membership and good motive for them to share with you best practices, to network. I mean, I'm on the board of ISFAB, and I love the organization. I think they really have this mindset that I want to bring this industry up, because when this industry goes up, everybody goes up with it.
Mhm.
So, and Ving is a big supporter of ISFA. We actually do have a service through Ving when you're an ISFA member. I mean, all these things, I didn't, every improvement and every safety program and everything that I did, I learned it through talking to other people, networking, organizations and services like Ving and ISFA and all these kind of people. I just think that you cannot go on for too long in this industry. And if you want to excel and build a business that's scalable and safe and profitable, you can't do it on yourself. And that's my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I can't claim to be the smartest guy, but I'm not smart enough to figure everything on my own.
Yeah. It sounds to me like you're smart enough to understand that fundamentally it's all about people and getting the right team players around you and then empowering them with all the right equipment to get the job done safely and to the quality that your customer expects. And that's one of the reasons that GMD is so successful in doing what you're doing, for your customer base and the reach that you folks have. So as we turn the corner here and start wrapping up our time together. And as you're looking towards the future um, of your industry, what would you see as like the next big thing coming your way that you're going to have to adapt to or that you're starting to think about? Doesn't have to be in safety and compliance. We're just interested in the industry outlook and where it's headed.
I think um, I think this is an industry that is going to continue to grow and to head in the digital. Um, I stopped using my shop. I stopped saying my manufacturing facility. I want to be known as an industrialist or a manufacturer.
Yeah.
I am already looking at two machines already.
Mm.
The machines will provide you safety for your employees. They don't call in sick. They don't, you got to do your maintenance. I think this industry is bound to grow and become a more legitimate and more. It's just too young right now. Not too
Mm.
young. It's maturing. And I think that it's maturing in a way that's really helpful. If an owner is motivated and they really want to grow and have a scalable business, I think this industry is really positioned in a very good way that if you start now making those adjustments, I think the sky is the limit. You can really grow.
Absolutely. And I really am just tracking right with you. Of course, the industry's been around for a while, but it's definitely maturing. And we're seeing that evolution, right now as we're going through it, and people are proactively overcoming challenges and looking towards the future of how they need to adapt their business to sustain the growth as they go forward. I know personally, if you folks haven't looked at any of the website, go to GMD and take a look at some of the projects these folks have worked on. They're absolutely beautiful. So when you see work like that, not only is the process that they do very interesting with CNC machines and all of the technical stuff that goes into it, paired with absolutely positively fantastic skilled labor. But when you see the absolutely beautiful custom finished product, you're thinking, how do I get that in my house? And that's definitely what Omar and his team have built from GMD, and it's so many across the country are really coming into their own after years and generations of doing business. So I
Yes.
want to thank you so much, Omar, for participating in Compliance in Motion today. You've been an absolutely fantastic guest. For our listeners and our viewers out there, it's a wrap for today's session. And of course, if you like what you heard, you have a friend who could learn something from today's discussion with Omar, please like, subscribe, and forward the podcast on to resources in your community, because as we've heard from an expert today, it's all about who you surround yourself and absorb those best practices and figure out how they fit into your place of work. Omar, thanks again so much.
Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate it. And if somebody has a specific questions, they can send it to you, send it to me. I'll be more than happy to help.
Absolutely. Will do. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.